Good morning. So today we do Greek civilization. We are focusing on Homer, who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. A couple of years ago, I taught the great books. So we read the Bible, Dante, Paradise Lost, the Iliad, and the Odyssey. And believe it or not, the students' favorite book was the Iliad. And this was written maybe 3,000 years ago by this Greek man living in a different time, different culture. Even today, Chinese teenagers think he's wonderful. Okay? So Homer is, I believe, the big bang of Greek civilization. All right, so let us summarize where we are. Okay, let's review where we are, okay? So remember that in the beginning, you have this city emerge in a major trade route, and it occupies a major river. And over time, what will happen is that as the city expands, it will create colonies along the river. And this will create warfare among the city-states because they're trying to control trade. Okay? And this leads to what we call open, cooperative competition. And as I keep on saying, this is a system that will lead to tremendous innovation. Okay, and this is what happened in China, in Mesopotamia, and in Egypt. But then over time, what will happen is that an empire will emerge, and this will create a bureaucracy. Okay? Now, bureaucracy has three major characteristics. The first is centralization. And because of centralization, you now have a monopoly. And so you have a decrease in competition, which means that the society is no longer innovative. Okay? Second is you have censorship, meaning that people are no longer free to express what they want. All information is centralized. The third is writing as propaganda. So writing is a system of control as opposed to a system of knowledge creation or self-expression. Okay? So these are the three characteristics of an empire. And this is true for all empires. And this is true for Mycenaean Greece. So remember, Mycenaean Greece is the empire that ruled the Aegean Sea during the Bronze Age. What's interesting, though, is when the Bronze Age collapsed, this system allowed for massive innovation, which gave us the Greeks. Okay, so let me explain why. First of all, you don't have centralization. What you now have is something called a polis. So you basically have a return to the system of open warfare. The polis means city-state in Greek. And it gives us the word politics. Why? Because these polises were at war with each other always. And because every citizen had to risk his life in a war, every citizen had the right to speak. Okay? So before every decision was made, all the citizens could debate. And so as a citizen, you were required to speak in front of others. And as a result, you, even though you could be a farmer, you had to educate yourself. You had to gain knowledge. You had to learn the art of speaking, what we call rhetoric. And this allowed for massive education and innovation in Greece. The polis, because everyone had to learn, they had to change the writing system from one of propaganda to one of knowledge seeking. So they changed the writing system. So during the Mycenaean age, the writing system is called linear B. And linear B is a hard system to learn, but that's the point. They want the writing system to be hard to learn because then only the elite can learn it. And that's what differentiates the elite from the people, right? But now that everyone has to learn, you need a more efficient writing system. And so they created a new system called the alphabet, which is the same system we use today because it's so effective, okay? So let me explain what the alphabet is. All right, so in the beginning, when we first started to write, we had pictograms, okay? So this is the sun, this is the moon, okay? Sun and moon. As you can see, these are just pictures of words, okay? That's the first step. But then people realize, you know what, we actually don't have to write down, we actually don't have to draw out the pictures, we can just use symbols, okay? So now you use symbols, like maybe an O and this, okay? This now becomes a sun, moon. And then people realize, you know what? There are actually a lot of words we cannot draw out. But if we make the symbol representing a sound as opposed to an idea, that'd be a lot more efficient, right? And so now, you can create new words. This is the word now for monsoon. Because all you're doing is you're adding two sounds together, okay? And this is what I call a syllabary, okay? And so linear B was a syllabary. And the Chinese system is what I call an ideogram. Ideogram, okay? So it's not representing sounds, it's representing ideas, all right? And then people realize, you know what? For it to be most efficient, to be most flexible, to be most versatile, we can just have the symbol represent a part of a sound. Okay, so rather than a complete sound, just a part of the sound. So now this becomes M, this becomes S. Okay, and so you now get the word sum. And this is where we get alphabet from. What the Greeks did was they added vowels to the system. Okay, and this is the most efficient writing system in the world. It's really easy to learn, as you know, from English class, as opposed to Chinese, which is very hard to learn. Okay, so now you have the alphabet, which increases literacy and learning throughout the Greek world. For entertainment, what they did was they invited bards, poets, to come and give recitals, to talk about the legends of the past. And this gave rise to the most famous poet of that time named Homer. And we will discuss Homer today, okay? And so in a centralized system, Homer could not have arisen because Homer would have been a propagandist. But now in this decentralized system where everyone is looking for entertainment, for knowledge, Homer can arise. And Homer will be the greatest poet of Greek civilization, and he's considered to be the father of Greek civilization, okay? So we will discuss Homer today. And Homer is famous because he wrote two books, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Actually, he didn't write the books, he recited the poetry, and then his students wrote it down because he himself was illiterate. And we also think he was blind, okay? So the Iliad and the Odyssey are about the Trojan War. Okay, so let me explain to you what the Trojan War is. Okay, so from last class, you know that Troy was the center of the world. It was the heart and center of global trade, and that's why pirates kept on raiding Troy. Okay, now, as you also know, facts become stories, and stories become exaggerated over time. And that's what gave us the legend of the Trojan War, okay? So let's go over the basic outline. So there are the gods up in Mount Olympus. The king god, of course, is Zeus. And the three goddesses are Hera, who is the queen god. They are Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Aphrodite, who is the goddess of love. Okay, Hera is the queen, the mother. Athena and Aphrodite are the daughter of Zeus. So it's one big family. One day, they discover a golden apple on Mount Olympus, and the golden apple says, to the most beautiful in the world. So of course, all three believe it must be mine. And so they fight and they fight and they fight. And Zeus is going crazy because they won't stop fighting. So Zeus has an idea. He will have a contest. And in this contest, the golden apple will be awarded to one of the three, okay? But now he needs to find someone stupid enough to be the judge. And he finds this person named Paris. And Paris is a prince of Troy. And so Paris meets the three goddesses, and of course, each goddess is trying to bribe Paris. So Hera says, Paris, if you pick me, I will give you a kingdom. I will make you a king. And Paris is like, that's a really attractive offer, okay? Then Athena says, hey, if you pick me, I will give you all the wisdom in the world. You will be the wisest man in the world. And Paris is like, okay, that sounds cool, sure. And then Aphrodite says, I'm going to give you the hottest girl in the world. And Paris is like, yes, that's what I want, man, okay? So he marries Helen. This may sound strange to you. Like, why would you give up power and wisdom for, sex? And so I was talking to my wife about this because I didn't understand Paris's choice, right? And she said, of course you pick Helen, because what matters to guys is status, face, right? You're a king, but there are lots of other kings. You have wisdom, but who knows you have wisdom, right? But hey, if you walk around the world with the hottest girl in the world, you feel good about yourself, okay? So of course you pick Helen. So there you go. My wife knows more than I do, all right? But anyway, so now this is a problem because now Hera and Athena are pissed off and they want revenge. In fact, they're so pissed off, they decide they're going to destroy not just Paris, but the entire Trojan people. Okay? They're going to wipe out Troy from the face of the earth. They want revenge. Another problem is, at this time, Helen is married to Menelaus, who is the king of Sparta, and his brother is Agamemnon, who is the king of Argos. And Sparta and Argos are the two most powerful places in Greece. So Agamemnon is the king of kings. He is the king of Mycenaean Greece. And so they organize this huge army to attack Troy, to retrieve Helen. Okay? And this will go on for 10 years, this battle in Troy. And this will give rise to many legends that Homer will use to entertain the Greek people after the fall of the Mycenaean Empire. Two of the most famous heroes of this time, and there are hundreds, okay, are Achilles and Odysseus. Odysseus is known for being the wisest of the Greeks, the greatest strategist. Achilles is known for being the bravest warrior. Okay? Odysseus will come up with the idea of the Trojan horse, which is what ends the war. Because as you know, what will happen is the Greeks will sneak inside a horse, a wooden horse, pretend that it's a gift to the Trojans. The Trojans will take the horse inside the city. The Greeks will sneak out at night and kill everyone, okay? All right, so that's the story of the Trojan War. What Homer will do is he will take this epic, okay, this legend, and turn it into a great story. He does not tell the whole story, he only tells a part of the story. He tells the story of the battle between Achilles and Agamemnon, okay? So let's go over the plot of the Iliad. Okay? The Iliad. All right, so the story begins like this. Agamemnon has arrived in Troy with his entire army. But Troy is a walled city, and these guys are pirates, so they cannot destroy Troy. So what they do is, well, they're pirates, so they go and raid other islands that are allies of Troy. And what they